All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Got an interesting take on the story I seen. I seen a few other podcasters do a story on it, but I got a different take. Now it's Wednesday morning, hump day, so I'm gonna keep the video to a minimum for you guys. But I want you to check out how certain aspects of the country are totally under control of foreign nationals, and they have been trying, I've been reporting them, to try to really involve Black Americans into the pro-Palestinian take, or they want us to identify with the troubles and tribulations going on in other countries. But realistically, as a Black American man, I know that I would not be accepted in Palestine. I would not be respected or treated like an equal citizen in that country because their racial bias toward Black Americans is horrible, to say the least. Now, all of a sudden, this so called camaraderie of the oppressed has to involve us. No. You see, I did stories on Rashida Tlaib out of Dearborn, the Congress lady down there representing Detroit and Dearborn, and how she's been rallying pro-Palestinians for months, ever since October, the October situation with the attack on Israel. Now, here is a congressman, and she brags about being the first Palestinian congresswoman elected to Congress. Okay, she's the first Arab that they put on Congress that they're giving a voice to, because people want to say Palestine is not Arab. Palestine is Arab. They are Arabs, without a doubt. So they have their conflict that's been going on for years. But I want you to watch this interview with this sister of an Israeli hostage that's being held by Hamas. And I want you to see what got Briahna Joy Gray fired. See, she got fired. Another Black woman got fired. Candace Owens got fired. Uh, Cross and Angela Reed and so many of these Black women, they get out on the front line for these causes, and they go against the very aspirations of the people they're working for. Their hubris is their downfall, because this interview, you're going to see a trap. You're going to see a trap. You're going to see her try to navigate a stance that goes in opposition of the very network that she works for, which is strange. But what bothered me about the interview is toward the end, the button words that the Israeli lady said. She said that there's going to be another 9/11 coming out of Dearborn and coming from Michigan and coming from Detroit. She didn't say Detroit, but we knew what she was talking about when she said Michigan, because Dearborn is right there with the largest Muslim Arab population in the country. But the way that she utilizes the talking points from gender politics in this country tells you that we are being thoroughly infiltrated. Thoroughly infiltrated. She's going to say all the button words that American women say: believe all women. And, her language and her lingo shows that they study us. They study us. They study our weak points. They study our divisions in our society. They study the divisions in our communities. They study divisions between a man and his wife. They study and exploit everything that we do when we don't do what we're supposed to do as Americans, as men, as women. Watch this interview that got her fired. Watch it to the end, and watch how she manipulates American culture. Excuse them dogs, they must see something. But watch how she manipulates American culture for pro-Israel stance against Briahna Joy, who's pro Gaza. Check out this. It's for fair use under the 1976 Copyright Act for educational purposes and commentary. Listen to this dialogue.
Israel, the Israeli military said yesterday that 4 more hostages who were abducted on October 7th had died months ago in Gaza. This announcement is likely to add pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to move forward with a ceasefire deal. Now, Netanyahu has been resisting accepting any deal that has been presented. Members of his far-right cabinet have been putting political pressure on Israel's leaders not to yield. Today, we're turning to one specific hostage story, the story of Romi Gonin. Her family says she was last heard from at 10:58 on Saturday morning of October 7th as she and her friends tried to escape the Hamas attack on the Supernova Music Festival in the desert. Romi's sister, Yarden, says that Romi had been on the phone with her family since about 6:30 a.m. when Hamas first began the attack. On October 7th at 10:15 a.m., Yarden says Romi told her mother that she had been shot and she was bleeding in a car. That car was later found, but it was empty. Here with us now is Romi's sister, Yarden. Thank you for joining Rising. We appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, we're very glad to have you here telling your story, and of course, we wish for your sister's safe return. Can you walk us through? I'm sure this has been an unimaginable ordeal. What has it been like to not know, for certain whether a loved one is still alive, and how has that led you to process the events of the last few months?
I don't think I can explain the feeling of uncertainty and unknowing and everything that's going on in the past 242 days. A lot of people are asking me if I got a phone call from Romi during that time, and obviously the answer is no. She's not held by an army group. It's a terror organization that just want to cause her and us harm. And the last conversation we had with her was with my mom, and the conversation ended at 10:58 after 10 minutes of only shooting, bombing, and terrorists talking among themselves. And that's how the call ended. After a few days, we translated it, and they're talking about Romi, about the fact that even though they shot her, that she's alive, and debating whether to take her or not. And then deciding to kidnap her. And there were 18-year-old men. And this is the last time we heard her voice. And the last sign of life we had is from the November deal from the released hostages, that some of them were with Romi. And they told us horrifying things about the time that she was kidnapped, that the terrorists dragged her from her hair. She had curly hair similar to mine, and they dragged her from it and then switching to her wounded arm like it's funny. And when they throw her inside their car, she lifted her head up to see what's going on, and one of them saw her, so he hit her with his weapon on her face, and she blacked out. Like, this is how you treat people. This is how you treat women. And this is only the things that happened to my little sister on October 7th. And from then, we don't know what else they can do. It's the same terrorist.
I want you to pay close attention as this story gets deeper. I want you to see how this Israeli is meant to exploit the gender politics that go on in America. How she's meant to call on the women's movement, the feminist, the angry black women, everything that she sees on TV or she hears about American culture as it relates to women, she's meant to exploit on Briahna Gray. Now, Briahna Gray is similar to the situation, like I told you, with Candace Owens. They get the platforms and they forget who they actually work for. They are put on those platforms to denigrate black men, not nobody else. That's when you're going to lose your job. You can say whatever you want to say about black men, but when you get to criticizing other things, that's not why we hired you and put you here. And that's why they fire them. They didn't fire Candace Owens until she started talking about Israel. They didn't fire this sister here until this last day, her last conversation about Israel. Now, you have these factions in these think tanks in America who study psychology. And what I'm going to show you, if you watch this video and you like to learn things, what you're going to see is guilt shaming. This lady from Israel trying to shame Americans, feminists in the world into taking a position against Palestinians with Israel. But they're using this black woman as the face of it because she likes to talk so much about these things, as if she doesn't realize, like Candace didn't, who platform she works for. She's going against her bosses to a certain extent.
That hold her, that are holding her right now. And we know from release hostages about abusing they were having, whether it was mentally, physically, or sexually, and that's just terrifying.
Look at the body language. Look at the posturing. Look at the faces.
Woman, and she just loved her life, and she loved working with autistic children, and she loves dancing. She just went to a music festival, to celebrate.
Can I ask you what what you've heard from the Israeli government with respect to hostage negotiations? We've covered protests from hostage families who feel like Netanyahu isn't prioritizing the return of people's family members, especially given that your sister was injured.
Now, the Israeli lady is on there to talk about her sister. She come on a platform to get help and support for Israel. Briahna Gray said, no, 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 no. I'm finna talk about Netanyahu, and I'm finna talk about your country's part in the whole situation. You know what I mean? They are diametrically opposed, but this was supposed to be a story just about her sister.
Need to get her back home quickly and get medical attention seems to be quite obvious. The former spokesperson for hostage families gave an interview about a month ago, Chaim Rubenstein, saying that there is no doubt that Netanyahu is preventing a deal to release the abductees, and said also, in retrospect, we learned that Hamas offered to immediately release all the abducted citizens if the IDF does not enter the Strip, but the government rejected that proposal. What do you make of how Netanyahu has been prioritizing the return of your sister and the other hostages?
Because I'm not in the negotiation team, and neither Chaim Rubenstein, none of us knows what's really going on. All I can say is that none of us are doing enough to release them because they're not here. Not me, not my government, and neither the international community. We didn't hear almost anything from the women organization that will condemn what Hamas did and still doing. And it's not that hard to condemn terror groups.
Again, I'm going to keep pointing these points out to you. Now she's saying we're not hearing anything from the women organizations. And what she doesn't realize is the women organizations that you see in America, that you see in the Democratic Party, they are only put there for one purpose. They're not put there to decide policy, especially when it comes to Israel and Gaza. That's not why they're there. So when they step off into that type of water and they don't make the right calls, they get fired, immediately fired, because you is supposed to only criticize your Black American male counterpart. You're never supposed to take on Big Mama's kitchen on a center stage. You don't run nothing here. That's what they're showing them. And listen how she keeps calling and trying to invoke women.
And, I can say a lot of things, but right now, if I'm looking at the present or the future, we have an Israeli deal that's sent to Hamas, and we're now waiting for Hamas to make their own move and say yes, to show the world and their own citizens that they really care about them and they want this ceasefire to come true. And this is what I'm waiting for. This is the time to shine. If they will say no, we have a big problem here, not just in Israel, but the entire world, the entire free world is at risk because of a terror group, that makes me crazy. People can say a lot of things about Israel, and we can debate that for a long time, but why people are not condemning a terror group that made a horrible terror action on October 7th, that murdered 1,200 people, that kidnapped almost 250. I mean, they're not good people, not for us, not for their own civilians, and not for the entire world.
Does the Israeli authorities stay in regular or contact with you at any? Do you get any updates on the progress of discussions or planning or thinking? The IDF I think has justified part of its entrance into Rafah, into Gaza, on a sort of get back the hostages, free the hostages kind of thinking. Are you informed? Are families of the hostages told at all about the thinking of the government as it pursues the actions it's taking, or even for the safety of what hostages who still live there, who could be vulnerable in the event of bombings and that sort of thing? Are you kept in the loop at all?
That's a good question. And we have, each family, we have a contact person that get in contact with us whenever he can, and with whatever information he can give us. And he's really like a part of my family. He's doing anything for us, and he's doing the best he can. Sometimes they update us, and we appreciate it a lot, and sometimes they don't, and that's frustrating. But we also know that it's a top secret matter, so I don't know. I don't want to do anything that will harm my sister or any other hostage. But with that said, I want to know as much detail as I can. So it's very, very complicated, and I can only trust them that they're doing anything they can to let us the farthest information they can.
Netanyahu has rejected the proposal to have a full hostage exchange in exchange for.
I'm gonna stop again. You see the gap was trying to get back to the hostage situation. Briahna Joy Gray. The first thing come out of her mouth is Netanyahu. I don't know if you peeped that. It's like she's not even listening to where the interview is supposed to be going. She's going off script because the lady is there to push her agenda for her sister and to get support for Israel. That's why they invited her there. Continue to watch.
An immediate and permanent ceasefire. How do you feel about that? Would you accept personally, would you prefer an immediate and permanent ceasefire if it meant that your sister and the other hostages could be returned immediately? Or do you kind of support Netanyahu's goal of wanting to, quote unquote, eliminate Hamas before hostages are exchanged?
Let me ask you something else, okay? Of course, I'll say that. Of course, I'm pro permanent ceasefire because it means that we will bring our loved ones home, so all of them. But if we won't bring all of them home, so we didn't do anything. We just let Hamas what they wanted, and we didn't bring the hostages back. Just think about yourself being in one of the countries inside the U.S., being attacked from Mexico, let's say like that. Do you think that the United States Army or the Biden administration or any other administration for that matter will be quiet until this terror group will be eliminated, that we will have this threat for the entire lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting analogy. I don't think that we would endeavor to eliminate all Mexicans if that were to happen, right? I think that we've had 7 months of the siege.
Eliminate all Palestinians, but let's talk again about my sister, okay?
Please.
My sister is a woman. She's 23 years old. She's being held by a group of terrorists that can do anything they want to her. You're a woman. You know how it feels like to feel unsafe.
She doesn't realize, yeah, she's a woman and you're a woman. But both you women are on the opposite sides. Both of you women are almost enemies. See, this is the fallacy that comes with that sister code, with feminism. She keeps appealing to this black woman who don't give a darn about her sister. For real. Look at her face. This is why they fired her. Look at her face. She cares nothing about your sister. Absolutely nothing. And every time you try to talk about your sister, she goes right back to Netanyahu. That's her focus.
To feel like a man can control you, to hug you or touch you in a way that you don't want to. But you will have your phone and you can call your mom or the police or tell someone to come rescue you. And you still be at home, so when he will release you, maybe you can go home or go to complain. And she can't.
Yeah, Yarden, I think the question is...
do anything to help her.
I think the question is so many other hostage families who've been protesting Netanyahu seem to believe that what would help their family members come home sooner is if Netanyahu would agree to a ceasefire and a hostage...
Last time. I just want to keep y'all following what got her fired. It's following. She doesn't give a damn about this lady's sister. Clearly. Every time she try to talk about what's going on with her sister, she don't give a damn. She goes right back to Bibi Netanyahu. Right back to pushing her pro-Gaza. You know what I mean? Just like Mark Lamont Hill, and you see a lot of these black people that are so wrapped up in something going on in a country that you wouldn't even be accepted in. They would never accept you in their society. Sad to say, it's true. Could you imagine being a black American and trying to take your family over there and live in Palestine? Really? You can't even live with them in Detroit next door to them. So this is fake. This is a fake ideological subversion that this sister is dealing with, but it's coming out. She cares nothing about feminism, the sisterhood, or none of that with this Israeli woman. And she's going to show it. Watch as it gets deeper.
Release deal to really prioritize what you're saying. Prioritize getting your sister home where she can be safe and have the medical attention it seems that she very much needs.
You're very right, but sometimes throughout those deals, we saw that Hamas wasn't agreeing anything at all. Right now, we have a new deal that the Israeli administration put on the table that Biden is vouching her this deal. And I'm really hopeful that Hamas will show the world that he cares about his own citizens and will say yes to this deal. Because if they say no, I'm really hopeful that everyone can see the true face of terror. And
so there has been a there was a temporary ceasefire earlier in which some hostages were released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, and there was an end to the fighting for a period, for a few days. That was back in December, I think that was.
November.
November. Do you think is there an opportunity to have another one of those arrangements, and then delay the kind of attempt to address the broader question of Israel's government wanting to get rid of Hamas, and putting that further down the path while more of the hostages and the Palestinian prisoners are exchanged?
I'm not sure what was your question with that said. Yeah,
would
sure,
you support
there's
that
a possibility of that, but I'm not a politician, I'm not representing the Israeli government. I'm not representing anyone except myself, my sister, and the women community, maybe around the world. I can't say that I'm representing any more of that. I don't know what's going on in their meeting of the cup.
She's representing the women community around the world. This fake feminism is finna end badly, because watch how irritated they get at each other, because they know they're lying. They know there is no real sisterhood when it comes to politics, when it comes to your country against my country. You know what I mean? So to speak. So this is another aspect of the diabolical politics going on in this country. You know what I mean? They just passed a bill that said that if a president is convicted of a crime, a felony, he loses his Secret Service at the same time, while they finna put Donald Trump in jail without no protection. Really? We're gonna expose it all. Let's watch this.
I don't know what is going on the negotiation team. It's not my job to perform. My job is to take care of my sister and to show the world what is really going on right now. What is really going on to my sister? What has really gone? What really happened on October 7th? I don't know if you know Zaka organization, but they have the worst pictures of what Hamas has done to the women during the October 7th attack.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are very familiar with Zaka, but regrettably, the reporting has been roundly discredited by both Israeli and American media sources. So I really would like to bring this back to your...
She just told her, them pictures you talking about is fake. We done already discredited those pictures. So stop talking about they over there and they just running rampant over women. And that's the reason y'all fighting. Y'all fighting over land. Y'all fighting over colonialization. Y'all fighting over a new apartheid. Let's get back to that. All that feminism and me appealing to me as a woman is out of the picture. Out of the picture. You don't, in her mind, I don't even see why Briahna takes on these type of arguments when she has disdain for that side, and she has an affinity for the other side, which is just as bad. There is no Arab Black American alliance, and people that's telling you that or act and move and operate like that are traitors and they un-American. Yeah, I said it. You un-American to think you can have a coalition with foreign nationals. And if you black, you double un-American and stupid, because they can't stand you. They will Jim Crow you way worse than you ever been Jim Crow in America, in the Middle East. Now you can be a tourist, a famous rapper, or somebody like that and go over there and have a good time. But the average Joe Smo working man to go over there and will be tortured, will be broken down. He will not. They don't have any love for us. Period. I'm telling you what I know.
Sister specifically, and I want to ask you about what you make of new reports.
Because I saw the picture with my own eyes, and when you will have a sister in a terror organization's hand, you will know the feeling of terrifying every minute of every day. Can't sleep at night. Can't even drink a sip of water because I know that my sister is drinking salt water from the sea, that she's not getting food, and the terrorist is eating in front of her face.
Yeah, Yardin, I really hope your sister does get water and food, and I hope that, I'm sure you're aware of the ample reporting of Israel blocking aid, food, and water to Gaza in a way that is hurting both the people of Gaza and the hostages, right?
Most of the trucks.
Briahna, why don't you just go on and say F your sister? That ain't what I'm talking about. F your sister. Come on. Be real with it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have no problem. You can tell F her sister, but that's what you're saying in so many words.
Are getting inside Gaza. I don't know if you saw, but Hamas is blocking them from them civilians. They're not giving their own civilians the humanitarian aid that everyone is so eager to give them. And I'm not against that. I'm a nurse in my profession. I really, truly believe that everyone should live in safety, in health. This is one of the biggest crises that we ever experienced here. But I'm really feeling that everyone is taking care of the Gaza civilians like they should. But what about the hostages?
Let's talk about how to get the hostages home. I agree.
Let me finish. Why aren't the Red Cross is entering the hostages? Why aren't they giving them medications? My sister have a lot of chronic diseases. Why aren't she getting anything? And we know that they didn't got anything.
You see how that Israeli lady just told that big ass lie? First she said her 23-year-old sister was beautiful with curly hair. Now she says she has a lot of chronic diseases. But she was at a party just dancing when at the Nova party. But she has a lot of chronic diseases. How many of y'all know somebody that has a lot of chronic diseases? Yeah. If they got a lot of chronic diseases, they're in trouble.
Why aren't they getting what they deserve?
The Times just reported this morning that Biden said, quote, "There's every reason for people to draw the conclusion that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is prolonging the war for his own political self-preservation." This is after Biden's speech at the end of last week was met with statements from Israeli government officials saying that there wasn't an agreement about this hostage deal on the part of Israel, and that there was a gap between what Biden represented and what they would agree to. And after months of Netanyahu and members of his administration saying that the goal was to eliminate Hamas and that he would not agree to a ceasefire and hostage exchange deal, until that happened. Now, this seems to be Joe Biden saying again that what is obstructing the ceasefire process that could allow your sister to come home and get the food and get the medicine and get the care that she needs and to live in safety is being obstructed by Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you feel like he's putting his own personal...
Have you ever heard in this short period of time somebody mention one person's name so many times? I bet you can't go back through and count how many times she said Netanyahu and Benjamin Netanyahu. She thinks she's talking about R. Kelly or Puff Daddy or Bill Cosby or any black man. This what got her fired. Trust and believe this what got Candace Owens fired. This what gets them all fired. They get these platforms and they think they really going to influence somebody with their personal ideology, when in all actuality, lady, you should even be worried about what's going on with Palestinians in Gaza, with what's going on in your own communities. That's what gets me. You not worried about the infant mortality rate in the black community? You're not worried about that every time a black woman has a baby, she's 3 times more likely to die than anybody else? You're not worried about the drug problem, the crime, the violence, the lack of jobs, housing? You're not worried about none of that. You worried about what's going on in Gaza. Okay.
Political goals ahead of prioritizing hostage release.
I really see that you want to talk political things, and this is not my profession. I'm saying right now that we have an Israeli deal on the table, and we're waiting for Hamas to say yes.
Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. I wish that it were, but unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case. Would you like to say anything else that we should know about your?
Even Biden told himself. This is what the Egyptian government said. This is what the Qatari said just today, and this is what my government said. Hamas also said that they're waiting. That they need to read the agreement and to decide whatever they want. I don't know, but what I'm getting is from the media, and I'm sure that you're getting it from the media itself yourself, because you're not in the negotiation team. So I'm here to talk about my sister. Please help me spread her story. Help me make people understand what she's going through as a woman in 2024. We are not 200 years ago. This is not okay that we have terror organizations that controlling the free world and people in the West letting it happen and stay on the streets, killing the hostages now, or Israelis must die. What did I do wrong? What did my sister did wrong? Nothing. Nothing. We did nothing wrong.
Well,
this was happening inside our own country. Yeah. And if the world won't help us, we will see 9/11 the second time in the US as well. But we can already see in the United States, in Michigan, rallies that's calling death to America.
This is where she blew me. This is where she blew me. Because she's taking a shot at Dearborn and Rashida Tlaib because they was over there chanting in Michigan. It was a bunch of Arabs and a bunch of Arab sympathizers over there shouting that they wanted everybody that wasn't down with them to be unalived. Y'all know what they were shouting? But they got Rashida Tlaib leading that out of Michigan. Now she's throwing Michigan under the bus. And when they talk about Michigan and the Arab population, they're talking about Detroit. I told you this months ago if you've been following my channel, that they was trying to put Detroit as a sympathizer with them, not even realizing them Arabs is the biggest threat to the economic survival of Black Detroiters than anything else in Michigan. Yeah. People not gonna like what I say, but it's the truth.
I mean, terror organizations in Israel or any other place, in fact, is reflecting to your country as well.
I'm just going to push back against the implication that in Michigan, which has the largest Muslim and Arab population in America, that there is any threat of terrorism from our own people. And I would like to clarify also that one of the rationale that was presented for 9/11 was discussed with America's support of Israel's continued occupation of Palestine. So that's neither here nor there. I really do hope that Netanyahu agrees and Israel agrees to the ceasefire deal that could bring all the hostages, including your sister, home. And I'm sure many people watching are praying for her safety.
Thank you. Me too. And I really hope that you specifically will believe women when they say that they got hurt.
All right. Thanks for joining. Stick around. More Rising coming up next.
Thank you.
She hit her with the believe all women on the way out the door. And Briahna Joy Gray gave her the roll of the eyes and the black girl magic. Like, whatever. You can't try that with me. You know? Now, the dialogue was interesting because it's systemic what you see in media. You know? I'm gonna leave people to really, you know, think about what they said, what they heard, or if they seen what I seen in the dialogue. Signing to you out of Detroit. Salute to all patriots. Support Detroit's Black Thought and Action Collective, nonprofit out of Detroit. The Cash App is in the channel description. Y'all keep your head on the swivel. Stay safe. Peace.